Do you want a nice hearty meal, but you aren't that great at cooking? Introducing Beef Stroganoff with meatballs. One of the easiest dishes, one of the first dishes I ever learned how to make. Welcome back to Big Time Eaters. Welcome back to Big Time Recipes. I'm your host, Ezra. Let's talk about the ingredients. Of course, it's beef stroganoff, so we'll use some ground beef, some ground pork, 1 egg, some minced garlic, sliced up cremini mushrooms, sliced up onion, noodles of your choice. We're using Rotini today. Panko breadcrumbs, Parmigiano Reggiano, fresh dill, fresh Italian parsley, all-purpose flour, tomato paste, crema mexicana. Alternatively, you can use creme fraiche, heavy whipping cream, and of course, sour cream, salt and pepper, Worcestershire sauce, garlic powder, some beef stock, light soy sauce, unsalted butter, white wine. We're using a Sauvignon Blanc, and cooking oil of your choice. We're using avocado. All right, guys, so first things first, of course, we're making meatballs. You can completely omit this step if you don't want to get in the hassle of it. Just do ground beef and a mix of pork. Be good, brown that in the pan. But I'm getting a little bit of fancy with it. This is one of the first dishes that I ever learned how to make. And guys, I just went ground beef. You can also choose to do some cuts of steak if you'd like, but I decided to do meatballs today. So with that, we're doing a pretty simple meatball recipe. We're doing 1 part beef. We're using pretty lean beef, and then ground pork. And then we'll go in with some panko breadcrumbs, some Parmigiano Reggiano, parsley, tomato paste, eggs, and a couple of other seasonings that we'll add later. But I'm getting surgical, and guys, it's not because I'm afraid to work with my meat. I just don't want to have to wash my hands in between. So first into our bowl, then we'll go in with a pound of our ground pork, get that added in to the mix. Then we'll go in with about a cup of panko. And of course, as always, ingredients amounts will be listed in the description. And then we'll go in with our tomato paste, go with about half of it. We're gonna add some to our sauce later when we make the gravy for the stroganoff. Then we'll go in with a nice dusting of our parsley as well. Because we gotta get our greens in, we gotta get our vegetables in for Denzel.
Oh God!
We will crack in 1 egg to help bind everything together. Make sure that we didn't add any shell. Go in with a little bit of this Parmigiano, and then we'll save the rest for garnish later or adding into our sauce. Then we'll go in with some simple seasonings. So now that we've got our other ingredients in, we're gonna go in with some seasonings, keeping it pretty simple, going with some garlic powder, some salt, and this is a lot of meat, so don't be afraid to season it well. Some fresh cracked black pepper, some cranks, some Crankingtons, and a question for you guys. When you crank your black pepper, are you moving your bottom hand or your top hand? Think about that one. And a little splash of light soy sauce, probably about half a tablespoon. And to add a little bit of velvetiness and nice mouthfeel to our meatballs, make sure they're not dried out. We're going with a little bit of heavy whipping cream. Okay, so we're gonna go in with a couple tablespoons of heavy cream as well. So just get in there, break up that yolk, and get everything mixed in with each other. Let everything get to know each other. It's like a meetup. It's like a meet and greet. It's like literally meat. And what you'll notice as the breadcrumbs and everything starts getting mixed together is that the meatball is going to form. And the reason why you do a little bit of milk, a little bit of panko breadcrumbs mixed in with your meatballs is it gives it something to stick to so it holds its form when it cooks. Because if you just try and do it dry, it won't hold together very well once you shape it and start cooking it. That's also why we add in a little bit of pork. Of course, you can do all ground beef. If you do that, you do want to use more fatty. But we went with a lean ground beef, so that's why I supplemented with a little bit of ground pork. Right about there, where things are starting to hold together, but it doesn't feel like a dough ball per se. All right, guys, I got a sheet tray lined with foil. Unfortunately, we ran out of foil, but this is just gonna make the cleanup process a little bit easier. It doesn't matter, you don't need to line your baking sheet. The one thing you do want to do is put down a layer of oil, kind of spread it out with your hands a little bit, of course, to help with the cooking and browning process, as well as to prevent some of the sticking that will occur with our meatballs. So we grab a good chunk and just roll it out. There it is, a beautiful ball. You know, this reminds me, and one of the reasons why we're doing meatballs tonight, guys, and beef stroganoff specifically, is there's a story I have from my childhood where, guys, I used to be obsessed literally obsessed with beef stroganoff. I begged my mom to always get the hamburger helper beef stroganoff flavor because I thought it was the best thing in the world, the best flavor profile in the world. And this is where the meatballs come in. There was one time we were at the store in the freezer aisle and I saw this banquet stroganoff and meatballs TV dinner thing, when you just throw in the microwave and it cooks and it's ready to go. And I, instead of getting the hamburger helper, I got that this time. And I made that, guys, and it was the most disappointed I've ever been in a TV dinner. I lost faith in TV dinners that day. And so we're getting a little bit of revenge. I'm making my own variation of that for my childhood self. They make the food look so good, but then it's always just such a big disappointment when you're actually eating it. All right, guys, last meatball going down. This will yield you about 27 meatballs. We're gonna get them in the oven. We're gonna just throw it on broil. And guys, about 20 minutes, we'll whip everything else up and we'll be eating. All right, guys, so over there, we've got our meatballs in the oven on a broil, just browning, and then we'll finish them in the sauce once it's constructed, as well as I put the pot onto a boil to get our pasta going, because this sauce comes together pretty quick. We got our pan at a 6 out of 10 heat on the induction burner, going in with about a tablespoon or 2 of avocado oil, as well as our unsalted butter into the pan. Let that melt down for just a moment, and then we'll go in with our sliced up onion. And you can see the way I slice up the onion, I left it like this. I like this. You can mince it as well if you don't like the onion texturally, up to you. But in my house, it's up to me. Got our onion sauteing. We'll give this about 3 minutes. I'm gonna go check on the meatballs now, see if we get a nice crust on them yet. All right, guys, so once our onions have a little bit of caramelization happening, a little bit of color, we're good to go in with our mushrooms. And I went in pretty heavy on the mushrooms this time, just because they cook down a good amount. You can also add in more onion. I just had a half an onion on hand, so that's what I utilized. But mushrooms have a lot of moisture, so they'll cook down a lot. So this looks like a lot of mushrooms in the pan, but I promise it'll cook down. So we'll check back in a few minutes. All right, guys, so our mushrooms are starting to soften, and you can see the volume taken up, space taken up in the pan has reduced quite a bit. At this point, once our mushrooms are still releasing a little bit of moisture, things are still cooking down a bit, I'm gonna add in a little dollop of tomato paste, use up the rest that we didn't put in the meatballs. This is gonna add another layer of flavor to the sauce. You can skip this if you'd like. I like the dimension that the tomato paste brings to the sauce, so that's why I'm adding it in. It's like free flavor. All right, guys, let that go for about a minute. You can see it's starting to brown on the bottom of our pan. At this point, we're gonna go in with our minced garlic right in the middle. Allow that to go for about a minute. Allow the flavor and the smells, the aroma, the beautiful aroma of garlic cooking in a pan to permeate throughout the kitchen. We'll go in with our flour now as well. Right in the middle. This is going to be the basis for our sauce. This is what's going to thicken it up, make it nice and creamy. You can see it's starting to just clump up, but that's okay. We just want it to cook a little bit to take the raw edge off the flour. Give this about a minute as well. All right, guys, gave that about a minute. Now let's go ahead and deglaze with our white wine first. Scrape the bottom of the pan up. As well as go in with a splash of our beef stock. So about that amount. Mix it all together. We'll get it all incorporated in. So once we've got that added in, we're just gonna let this simmer for the next few minutes. Allow the flavors to combine and commemorate and all that, and then we'll get our pasta cooking. All right, guys, so you saw we didn't waste any of that flavor that we cooked our meatballs on in that baking sheet. Scraped it up a little bit with a little water, add it back into our sauce, let this simmer down, and now it's a nice and thick gravy-like consistency. At this point, we can cut our heat down to low and allow this to cool off a little bit before we add in the final touches. First and foremost, this right here, Worcestershire sauce. This is a flavor enhancer to the max. So go in with a healthy amount of that. Some glugs. Don't be shy, all right? That's umami flavor. That's the backbone of a stroganoff sauce. Get that mixed in there, as well as at this point, we can add in our crema mexicana. You could also substitute for crème fraiche. I like the sweetness that this table cream that I got adds. So crack that open, and we'll go in with some of that and mix that in. And then we want to bring that acidity that we have with the sour cream and get some nice healthy amounts of cream in here. This is going to bring that velvety, luxurious mouthfeel to our stroganoff. Mix it all the way in. At this point, we'll also go in with some of our fresh dill, just right in the middle there, and our Parmesan cheese. Mix that in, as well as our parsley. We've got all of our ingredients mixed in. You just want to do a quick taste test, as well as get our beautiful meatballs into our sauce to start coming to temp. So we don't want to splash, so I'm just gonna get some of these in and allow these to warm up a little bit. Guys, this is looking like a killer meal, if I do say so myself. Childhood me would be proud. So we're gonna let this come up to temp, get this plated up with some butter noodles, get you guys out of here. All right, guys, got it plated up here. I just went ahead and topped it off with a little bit more of that table cream, that sweet cream, as well as some sour cream, parsley, fresh cracked black pepper. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Get a good bite, get some of our nice buttered noodles, and then of course, got to go in with a meatball. Check that bite, guys. Let's do it. Wow. Wow, guys, that is one of those comforting meals that comes together so quickly. Strong beefy flavor on that meatball. Oh, it's just incredible. That gravy comes together so quickly. All those additions of the fresh herbs, that dill, that parsley shines through, breaks through all the fattiness, and then the acidity, and then the sweetness, the kind of symphony of the sweet cream and the sour cream. Man, it is just solid. Got to go back in for that meatball. And with that, we've got to get the dense test.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a minute since the dense test has been in the kitchen, so
Has arrived.
let's go. Just gonna go straight for it. Meatball with the
Wow.
go for the meatball with the freaking the spaghetti.
Bomba!
Spaghettis? This guy just makes up words.
Now, oh my gosh, guys, that is so good. It's like you bite a meatball, savoriness, there's the sweetness from all the cream. Oh my gosh, it's such a freaking good bite. That's wonderful. Wow, I'm at a loss for words. I'm actually just going to steal it. All right.
All right, guys, that's another recipe wrapped up. Another childhood classic. Another memory shared from me to you. And with that being said, if you want to tune in for more recipes, reviews, challenge content, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe down below. Hit the bell, and we'll see you in the next video.